grab a seat, order your drink, and welcome to the brightest center in the galaxy for all things Star Wars Expanded Universe, and whatever else may blow in the door. You're listening to the Callum's Cantina podcast, and I'm your host, Callum. No matter if you're a seasoned bounty hunter of lore or just looking for a good story, you've stumbled into the right cantina. Today, we're continuing on one of the biggest EU topics post-sidelining in continuation. This time talking about it from the perspective of fan fiction and fan works. We're talking the various ideas people have with continuation of the Star Wars Expanded Universe, pertaining specifically to continuing it from writing your own things or creating your own things. So pull up a chair and let's unravel the legends. So our next section talking about continuation here would probably be talking about continuation through fan fiction and fan works.
Yes. Yeah. Which there are two groups, I believe, doing that. Or at least two decently sized groups.
Yeah. I think I've noticed two major ones. I think there would also be some more minor ones, or people that just write their own stuff, like always.
There's, I mean, I only know of the group associated with Joe.
So as far as bigger groups, I guess we're mentioning first, there's Joe Bongiorno's Supernatural Encounters Expanded. And then also there's a group calling them Re-Expanded, which is taken off, and that's a group as well, a separate group writing fan fiction in a way, trying to have a concerted effort to work together as a group and continue the EU in their own way that way.
And that's I appreciate that for what it is. Yeah. There are also podcasts similar to ours that are like kind of drawing attention to the EU, but kind of giving ideas to a degree. Like Star Lores, I've noticed a few times they've kind of added some stuff. Granted, some of that might be pulling from the new canon without realizing it. Because I went back to some of their older ones more recently, and I found a lot of inaccurate stuff on the Sci-Fi DS one. They added things in that are not anywhere that I can find on his Legends page. I didn't look in his canon stuff because I'm like, I don't even want to know if they accidentally pulled from canon. I don't even want to know. I just want to assume that they conflated a couple of things from other sources. I mean, they said that Dooku killed his own brother in that, and I'm like, that's not at all what happened. He, like, his death had nothing to do with Dooku.
Unless they were just reading Wikipedia.
Right. Well,
that's got to be another episode. It's just the egregious things that Wikipedia have gotten wrong.
I've got that on the list.
That's definitely got to be.
That's true as well.
A whole line episode.
Yeah.
And I have seen too many people drawing on it, whether they are YouTubers, podcasters, people making game mods, or people doing continuations of fan works. I've seen so many of them fall into the same pit, as where you'll be watching it or reading it or playing it or whatever, and you think, where did they pull that from? And you go, oh, someone's mistake on Wikipedia that's still there.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's one of the main points of them trying to work together for the fanfiction continuations, as I've landed in the spot of, well, I don't really want to be a part of that, but I do appreciate them making the effort. But you do end up with people that you don't remember everything, so you need a resource to be able to refer to, and that is usually Wikipedia. And then when that's
unfortunately
wrong, you kind of have to create your own database, probably, and that's going to take years because you have to read through everything
we've touched on it.
manually, all of
Yeah.
that, and
Well, we've touched on it. Like you tried to do it once, Cal, and I think your efforts are largely
Yeah.
still there online. But I think
I
you
think
probably
I
realized very
removed the
quickly just
pages
how
because I
big.
didn't really take off. But it's like, yeah, you need enough
Yeah.
people
It's
interested
a
to
huge
really
undertaking.
cover it properly.
Right.
Yeah,
You
huge.
need enough people with enough dedicated time, and that's the problem, is that we're all pretty busy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it also
Like
seems like for the effort you put in, how much would people actually use it type thing.
Yeah.
That's the other
And to
issue.
use Wikipedia as the model as well, for however long that's been running. It was running at the time, so a new novel comes out this week or a new comic comes out this week. So all you got to do is add the contents of that comic into Wikipedia and
Yeah,
move
as
on
you
with your
read it,
life.
done.
And there was so many people involved in it. Like, I'm assuming at some point hundreds, if not thousands, of people editing and adding things, and they still got it wrong. So to look at that as a blueprint and say, well, you had hundreds, if not thousands, of dedicated volunteers who were just incrementally doing it as things came out, so it wasn't just one big blob you've suddenly got to put online. And so they've done it incrementally. They've had editors, they've had people rewrite, come back and look at things and edit again, and they've still got it wrong. It's like, well, good luck to you as a 1, 2, 3-man band trying to do the same thing and somehow come out with a perfect result. It's like,
Right.
Prob's not. Prob's not. It's just too huge an undertaking. But even
Oh, it
on the
is.
subject of fanfic, so I'd probably start myself, and so this is not naming anyone because I don't know if anyone's even doing it, but I've often said if I was to do it, I'd probably just want to readapt existing works because to make up new stories about what happens, the problem is that I have my own vision of what might happen after Legacy 2, and then you might have it, and you might have it, so we end up with 3 different continuations, and no fan's going to follow it. No fan's going to follow what you're doing, what I'm doing, no one's going to do it.
No.
But if you had enough fans come together, and there's enough of a gravity pull that these 50, 60, 80 fans are all writing one continuity, and they've got 1 or 2 editors that are making sure this is all binding, that would be fantastic.
Right.
Probably an absolute pipe dream, because we know how well the fans work with each other. We can't even have fan Facebook groups without massive
complaints.
complaints,
We already mentioned, there's 2 separate groups. They're all doing basically that. But there's less people.
Well, I'll also say this about both of those groups. They're focusing on different things as well. Like they're dedicated to specific aspects of the EU.
Sure.
And neither of them are focusing on the Skywalker family. And I think that's by design.
Yeah,
because
probably.
It to us as a whole, that's sacred to the EU. That's sacred to Star Wars itself. Messing with that, like, you don't want to put somebody, you don't want to be responsible for messing with someone's headcanon with them. And I think that's why no one's really messed with them, because it's too risky.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes it's so much easier to write other characters because there's room to write them too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing as well. Like, that's why when I've made my own fan fiction characters and whatnot, I avoided, like, sure, maybe I would say something like my character, he knew Obi-Wan and may have been friends with him. When they were Padawans together, but that's about the extent of it. In the same vein that Quinlan Voss and Obi-Wan were friends as Padawans. Like, it's believable, and it's not exactly out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but for me, adaptations would be safer. I mean, I say that, and then I'm just going to contradict myself immediately. But so like, I would personally want to take things like Tales from the Old Republic, like a whole anthology of short stories. And personally, just because I love illustrations, I want to make those into short comic books. So just take them, but again, word for word, not changing anything, just the story, the characters, the dialogue presented as a comic. And that
Right.
kind of thing to me would be a really good continuation because you're bringing on board new fans that are seeing something in a different light, but you're not changing any of the existing lore, which comes down to, I was going to say now as a contradiction, the people who are adapting things for videos. We're seeing a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
There's a few efforts to do Heir to the Empire. We've seen one that did Dark Empire. We've seen people doing more recently Darth Plagueis as well. Shadows of the Empire. And again, even though what they should have done and what in an ideal world you would have done is just take the story and just word for word verbatim present it on screen, they almost can't help themselves that they have to go and alter and change things sometimes in a very dramatic way. And again, I'm not talking about, oh, Luke's wearing a black cloak. I thought he was wearing a dark brown cloak. Like, no, it's literally
instead of
changing
Sabaoth, it's Mace Windu. Yep.
Mace Windu.
Yeah. And you're watching it thinking, you guys were hitting it out of the park so good up until that point, and now, what is that?
No,
what even is that?
And it's weird. Like we haven't looked at the Darth Plagueis one yet.
Yeah.
But I will say
2 hours for the first episode. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's going to be long.
That's another thing with some of the fan adaptations. Is like that's way too damn long for one episode.
And I think that's the thing. Like they're not thinking it through. But I think with the Dark Plagueis, I think they're treating it like a trilogy or something.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's intended to be more than a handful. Like
yeah, that makes sense.
But at the same time, because like I don't think they're done, but I think they're almost.
They'll never be done. There is always more.
That's the thing.
But on Darth Plagueis, with you saying about adapting and writing it into a comic form, we do know someone that would actually advocate for rewriting some of the novels, especially ones that have TCW information in them. That's probably one of the main things that they want to correct in them. So, like Darth Plagueis with the Maul Origins and that kind of thing is something that they would go, well, let's, and they sort of just want Lucasfilm to do it, probably, but it's something that fan fiction could do. Is like, well, we want to change that part of it to go, this reflects the actual original EU story rather than TCW.
Right. Well, and that's
even
the
if
other
you're just
thing
trying
as well.
to introduce. And if you're just trying to introduce new fans, like it's if you've got someone who's never touched the EU before, it's a lot more palatable to give them the Heir to the Empire comic rather than the Heir to the Empire novels. Despite the novels being significantly more detailed and more lore heavy, if you've just got to try and do a quick, easy in, it's much easier to go, here's some comics, you'll knock that out in like an hour. Give it a go, see what you think. You know, and so adapting some of these other things for comics, again, I was talking about in the first episode of this little bit, where I said we are dealing now with a generation of people that have shorter attention spans, and the media has to be quicker and snappier than it ever has been before. Breaking down some of these larger things into smaller, easier to eat aspects might be good. So to break a whole novel down into one short comic, I mean, you lose a lot. But what you gain is something that's easier for a new fan to get into.
Right.
Or something like one of the best fan films was the Legacy of the Force one, which adapted one scene. And you honestly, you'd be lost if you didn't know the book. But
it's true.
You get a real sense of what that scene was, and it was really good. So you could do something like that and show people like this is like an excerpt from it, like a highlight, and then that could lead people to the books as well.
So fans can do an awful lot that would be, I guess, useful and widely accepted, because I don't think there'd be anyone who wouldn't widely accept. So one of the short stories that I want to adapt, by the way, is No Disintegrations Please. So that's Tales of the New Republic, I think it is, and it's mostly centered around Boba Fett, and it's just a really great short story, and I've always loved it. I've always reread it, and I just really, really love how it epitomizes Boba Fett and how effective he can be, and that's one that I've wanted to do as a comic because it would probably benefit from a lot of visual aspects of what's going on. But on top of that, again, you don't have to change anything. You just use the exact same words, the same armor, the factions, the units, you have to take some creative license with the base layout, because you don't know how this base is exactly laid out. But by and large, I don't think anyone would look at that fan work and say, "Oh, that's not worth your time," because no, everything within it is canonical to the EU. It's just presented differently. So those kind of
Yeah, and you
adaptations,
get
same as Heir to the Empire, by the way. Yeah, same as Heir to the Empire. That Heir to the Empire, despite it being a fan film, if you could look at it and say every aspect of this is canonical to the EU, therefore, while it's not an officially licensed product, you could absolutely introduce that into your own headcanon or whatever you want to call it, because it's fine. There's nothing there that's going against the grain. It's fine.
Yeah, you're talking about the Darth Angelus one.
Yeah. And despite the Star Destroyer being a little bit questionable with the paint job, despite that, and if that's all it is, that's all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's honestly one of the least objectionable things from the source it got it from. So I'll take that.
Yeah, it's still the best adaptation.
Oh yeah,
that we have.
And so in terms of
despite
fan
it shouldn't have the big paint on it because Thrawn's just going, "Here's my capital ship."
Yep.
That is kind of the thing. It's like one of Thrawn's points was the command ship shouldn't be quite so obvious.
Yep.
Which is kind of the thing. Like the Super Star Destroyer and the Executor class Star Destroyers, those were huge.
Yeah.
And
preposterously so.
And they were clearly the central command of each fleet that they were associated with. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that was just, I mean, again, that was probably pulling from real world history. The Germans are also known for the Wunderwaffe, just making these ridiculously enormous things, these ridiculously enormous battleships or ridiculously enormous cannons. That then when you're flying over, you can look down and say, okay, I think we need to target that artillery piece that's the size of a small town. I think we need to target that. And it's kind of the same thing where that kind of hubris was also the downfall for the Empire.
Yeah.
Where they make these enormous, big, flashy, showy weapons, and then anyone on the battlefield can go, we need to target that. That thing.
That's a great...
It's just...
Even the Death Star. Big, flashy, showy weapon. Pew, pew, proton torpedo and exhaust port. Boom. The tiny weakness.
Yeah.
Whereas if you'd used all of that material, if you'd used all of those personnel and all the steel and whatever, pure steel, to make a fleet of Star Destroyers, they could turn a planet to slag, and you still can't just destroy the entire fleet with one bomb, with one torpedo. So making one enormous weapon was a really dumb choice over a fleet of Star Destroyers that can turn a planet to slag anyway. The planet will still be there, but it'll be quite unlivable.
But don't worry, Fear will keep the systems in line.
Apparently.
Well, right. I mean, we have the story of Kamas, and that's literally what they did.
Yeah, and there would have been the theory with the World Devastators as well. They just keep pumping out more ships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a devastating weapon. That's a terrifying idea.
Right.
That one, yeah. The Empire probably got that one right, despite it not really, winning in the long run. Yeah.
So while thinking of fan fiction and fan works, we talk a lot about adapting things that already exist. But I was thinking, obviously the fan fiction groups doing the continuations and new stories. The thing that I've landed on and we've done together, Ethan, is playing through the role-playing games.
Yeah.
And while there are some pre-written adventures, it's always going to go a different way depending on the way the players act. And I've ended up having to just do some of my own adventures too. And that's how I've been creating some new stories, even though I've been ages since I've edited them. Maybe I should just do a bunch of those and get them out. That's how my editing seems to go. I get a backlog and then I edit them all and it's like, okay, now they're coming out every day. But that's how I've done new stories, and if I had the time to sit down and actually adapt and write them, that could be a way of doing that. But at the same time, there could be retcons where
Well,
something
we
has to
already
be
have
explained.
we've already had to retcon a couple of things.
Yeah.
Even inside.
For reference, Jeff, there's currently a droid that's a TC droid combined with a droidica.
Yeah. Here, I'll show you the
why
Lego
not, eh?
figure.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Be interesting as soon as it starts rolling.
It can't roll.
He can't
That's
roll.
the problem.
He just goes tick 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 tick, and he's slow.
Yeah, so he's just on this little tripod that's walking. It's awful.
The strange thing is, though, it also just looks like a TC droid using Newt Gunray's chair.
It does
Yeah.
kind of. I didn't think about that, but now you've said it.
Right, there's fun stuff there, and at least we've got a consistent core group doing the RPG, so that's good. But that's how I've tended to want to experience and tell new stories, because it's especially, I haven't had a group before our group doing the RPGs and being able to explore that as well. Because so you can read the written adventures, but it's like you're kind of bland. It's much more interesting if you play it out.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we can get behind that kind of continuation as a fan work as well, because it's exactly as intended by the writers as well.
Yeah. And it's not designed to, in any way, shape, or form, be an official continuation for the EU that fans can just embrace and go, yay, the EU's back.
Yeah.
But it is certainly a way for fans to expand it for themselves and be more involved than just reading a book. So it's, win some, lose some, I guess.
It allows for some creativity, but it allows for you to kind of feel like you're not really breaking lore as well in the process. Like, I mean, if you decide that you want to, you can.
It's your own story, so
if the game master wants to do that, and then also it's always a discussion with the players a bit, I find, when I'm running it, to go, what do we take and what don't we?
That's any game. Like if you play the dark side version of Knights of the Old Republic, or if you play the Force Unleashed Ultimate Sith Edition or whatever, where you can start killing Han and Chewie and Leia and Luke and just go bananas. It's the same idea. You've obviously completely broken lore. You've completely broken continuation, but was it fun? Yeah.
Right.
I had a fun time doing it.
That's the nice thing about those games, is that they allow you to do that.
And you can certainly try.
Yeah, so there's definitely those. But a fan continuation is always going to be rife with, I guess, just being widely accepted. That's going to be the difficult thing they're going to have. Is just to in any way, like, I guess, or to put it another way, I guess no one has written something necessarily that the entire fandom has unanimously said, you know what, that's continuation for the EU. That's the unofficial continuation. Yeah, we all love that. No one's written an Heir to the Empire of fan fiction. No one's written that.
No.
Yeah. So there is that small issue.
Yeah.
It's not really a continuation per se. So
yeah, that's where I don't think new stories I like to explore through the RPGs, because it's like, you don't have to go, we have to be adhering strictly to continuity, although you do your best at the time. And then also you can have fun, and people can join in the ride if they want, and if they don't, because you got those people as well that are like, I only accept the Bantamir as my headcanon.
I mean, there's always somebody.
Or
not today. There's not.
No.
Not today. There's not. I don't know where he is, but well.
Oh, he was sick. He cut his voice is shot.
His voice is messed up.
So for him,
he watched
no NGO. Everything after Hand of Thrawn, other than Crucible, doesn't count.
Yeah, which is just crazy talk. But anyway, crazy talk. Which I don't know if this is going to be a separate thing. Were we going to do the idea of a official fanfic thing, or is that going to be like a part 3? Because There is that idea I was for.
Well,
Oh,
isn't that?
this is probably that one.
Yeah, I was going to
The
say
same,
I've kind
was
of.
under the same
This is kind of it.
section.
All right. Well, I will float that idea because Star Trek had that one, and I'll swear it was called Brave New Worlds, and I think I might be getting that mixed up with a different set of literature, but it was effectively fanfic they published as novels. So, and when I say fanfic, I'm not being rude. It was proper fans writing fiction. It wasn't authors that were published authors by any stretch. And they're largely like having a competition, and there was still somebody, and I don't know if I will look it up now, but there was still like a body that was official that oversaw these submissions, and they would say what could and couldn't go. So it was kind of the same thing as what we were saying in part one, where we need a Leland Chi figure that's in charge of continuity.
Yeah,
If you
Alan
still had that
Porsche,
one
Sue
figure,
Rosoni, those types of ones.
yeah. And if you could get them from Lucasfilm, so it's like an official person overseeing the fan fiction and saying, "Oh, this is good," like they used to for all. Because that's the same thing
That'd
with
be
the
a
old
good
authors.
one,
That's the
yeah.
same thing they did with them. And that's kind of a hybrid where Lucasfilm almost have to put out apart from hiring this continuity editor, have almost no output. But what they get back is publishable and profitable. Well, that's not really a bad way to go. Where, maybe the three of us do sit down and write what we think happened to Luke after Crucible, and we write that continuation of story. It would then largely be up to Lucasfilm to say, "Yeah, that's great," or "Guys, please stop." Probably say, "Guys, please stop."
Right.
But at least that way,
Yeah.
at least that way, you get an official continuation without an awful lot of effort, and it's written by people who care. Is the other thing that we were saying in part one. We need to have that caveat of care where we say the continuation needs to be inclusive of the existing lore. We're not just going off tangent, not just losing our minds completely and writing silly stuff. It has to be the same kind of quality we expected out of the old EU. So it's one way of doing it. You get authors that care, you get an official oversight, and you still get someone who's keeper of lore. So that's one of the continuations that I'd really love to see. As I said, Star Trek have done it to a degree at one point, but I've not really seen a franchise ever really embrace this idea fully, but I'd like it.
Yeah, that reminds me of
Honestly, it's the only luck we
Western
have.
game stuff, actually, because that would be what they did with the short stories. The fan submitted stories, and they went, "Okay, yeah, that's publishable or not."
Yeah.
And again, that was just based on existing lore. If you wrote something that didn't seem to break existing lore and it was a great story, they were by and large, okay, let's roll with it.
Yeah.
But then, if you wrote other silly stuff and sent it in to say, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, it did depend. But yeah, that was kind of the thing. Like that was kind of the thing with West End games. They did allow fan submissions for quite a bit. And just to tie back to that, Joe Bongiorno got his start with them, and he was originally going to have a short story published, and then they told him, and he was also in one of those source books, and then they weren't able to. They ran out of room to publish his story.
Just the saddest.
It's like that's so sad. Like he was this close.
Yeah.
He was working for them.
And that was supposed to be on hyperspace, and now that whole area around there is not working.
Yeah.
Gone.
Basically.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I think enough fans dredged and saved everything off hyperspace that nothing's actually lost.
Yeah, thankfully.
Well, and I think that short story is on Joe's website.
Yeah.
Too.
He's got a lot on his own website.
Yeah.
Which for people that may not be aware,
stuff.
if you're listening, that's StarWarsTimeline.net. He has a lot of resources on there.
Including Heart of the Jedi. That is on there as well.
Although notably they well, I forgot about because I haven't read it yet. They did edit that to fix some continuity things. They tweaked it slightly.
Yeah, from what was going on, from even what's in the official published book, well, the unofficial official published
The
book.
one that was on
the
Amazon.
unofficial. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it got taken down because it was probably someone that shouldn't have done it, but too late. We got it.
Yeah.
Well, I think the main problem was that they put Star Wars on the cover.
Well, it looks for most intents and purposes, and I don't use the term all intents and purposes, because for most intents and purposes, it looked like a real book.
Yeah.
If you found someone who wasn't a fan and you just showed them all your Bantam era books, and then you put Heart of the Jedi in the middle of it, they'd be hard pressed to go, oh, that doesn't, no, it blends. It blends.
Oh yeah,
in terms of
it does.
In terms of character design, the copyrights, the fact that it says Star Wars all over it, it looks like an old Bantam era book.
It does, and like, and that's
that's
the
a
appeal.
copyright issue,
right? And that's the appeal to the fans, but that's a copyright issue for Lucasfilm and Disney, which is why the published versions of Supernatural Encounters all have original art and don't put Star Wars on them, even though it's very clearly a Star Wars story when you read it.
Theoretically can't sell it for a profit. They take donations and then you can get a copy of the book.
Did it not have Star Wars on it in very small print on Supernatural Encounters?
It might have
been.
been.
Can't reach his. I'm going to reach mine because I swear it actually did, but
Mine are
obviously
upstairs.
it was small enough. It was obviously small enough to go
and
largely
it's not
unnoticed.
in the same font. It's like, where's the camera? Like right there, in a different.
Oh yeah,
so
that edition had it.
The
edition I have doesn't even say Star Wars on it.
I think because he's selling that more commercially.
The 3-volume edition, yeah.
Can we talk about that briefly? Since that's come up.
We can talk about it.
It was originally going to be on Hyperspace, but then it never got published. And then it was cancelled when Hyperspace was cancelled. And then Joe got permission to continue writing it and post it on his own website and everything, basically. And now he's self-published it.
Yeah.
And that's the facts as far as I see it. But they get funny about they let people believe that it's fully canonical. Where I find that's misleading.
I believe that, I believe Joe views it that way. And I genuinely believe he views it this way, and I appreciate that. But as far as Lucasfilm is concerned, as far as anybody who could make an official statement, it's not. Right?
Especially
and
the form where it is in now,
Well, see, that's where I become a really unusual fence sitter. Is because, and I know I'm a wishy-washy fence sitter for this, but I personally do accept the original version that was presented on his website as canonical. Only because, as far as I know, that was the version that Lucasfilm essentially green-lighted and said, yeah, this will go to be published, and it just never was. But under those, if that's the draft, which, as again, I'm led to believe, that's the draft that made its way to Lucasfilm, and they went, oh, cool. And then it got brought back, and then I would accept that as canonical under those terms. Just the same as I do with Heart of the Jedi. If that's a version of Heart of the Jedi that Lucasfilm said yes to, then I would accept it. And yeah, there were some tweaks. And again, I don't know how egregious necessarily those tweaks were. You'd have to get the original and the printed copy and read them side by side, which is something I've not done with Supernatural Encounters yet.
Notably, though, the version that is on the website now is not the same version as was originally on the website.
No.
And looking at the page numbers from a Word document with the original I have saved on it, there's like 700 extra pages of what is written onto
which
it.
Is just quite a notable addition.
So I think that's
so for me,
a bit more than just tweaks.
So for me, that's 700 pages that aren't canonical, and then the rest. So that's where it gets fuzzy. But certainly the original as it was presented, I personally am like, that's canonical for me because Lucasfilm said yes. The fact they never got to printing is kind of besides the point. Yeah, it'd be like if we ever managed to dredge up the script for Force Unleashed 3. If we ever found a script for Force Unleashed 3 that was signed up by Lucasfilm said, yes, this is a Force Unleashed 3 that we're running with, and that's what it was. Even at this time, even if it got to me by clandestine means, I would class that as canonical because Lucasfilm have looked at it and gone, yep.
Right.
So it's kind of how did that thing get to us, and is it still in its original condition? They're probably the two stipulations I'd have there.
That's where the conflict with Supernatural Encounters comes in, is primarily how much has changed. And Joe still claims that it's mostly the same story, but while that may be the case, you have to deal with the fact that it's now bigger, much bigger than it was originally when it was first released. And that's where, like, I don't want to call him disingenuous on it, but at the same time, there is a level of, well, how much of what is currently available is the same as the original. Like,
I
feel like there's a lot added.
Yeah, mainly because it was obviously done in really good faith. And this is going to be another whimsical statement, but there's no saying that the book as it exists now, Supernatural Encounters as it exists right now, had that gone to Lucasfilm, that it may well have been all ticked off on as well. Like all the additions it has made, probably would have made it again through Lucasfilm's editing process and that kind of thing, probably. But then you could also say that for almost any unpublished work, is like, well, it probably could have made it through. I don't know, but possibly.
And that's the thing where I think we differ a bit, because I find that I look at it as an interesting historical thing if that was in the process. But I find even Heart of the Jedi and that, I'd say, well, that who knows if it would have actually been changed before publishing, before it came out officially published, all that. And it's a bit like how you have George Lucas's notes and things that changed by the time he actually got to making the prequels, especially. Where I go, well, that's a really interesting historical piece. Out of the Jedi is right next to my elbow. And but I don't really say that it's fully canonical unless it's been officially published, personally.
Right.
Well, to use
because I can't really verify that something would actually be the same as the state it's in now.
Yeah, so to use something that hasn't actually happened, so Escape from Dagu, for conversational sake, if that came out and they said this was the draft that went to Lucasfilm, they said yes, it's come back, so this is exactly what Lucasfilm said yes to, and they could prove it. Would you accept that as canonical now? Because I would, personally, I'd be like, okay, cool. So all that happened was it missed out on the publishing phase. That's all that happened. It was written, Lucasfilm said yes. All that happens, it didn't go to print. That's all.
I think I'd want to verify the. No, it could go either way for me. Maybe I think I want to verify that there were no other edits to be made to it. Because even like last minute, there could be changes that they go a bit like George Lucas changing his mind on making Star Wars 1313 Boba Fett. And they have to redo a whole heap of the game for that. Those last minute changes that could have been made, I'd probably treat it as like S-canon type custom canon tier thing, like the old Marvel comics of like the events probably did happen, but the telling of them and what exactly happens could be incorrect.
That's fair,
because that's certainly one that I would love to see published.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, it exists in a largely finished form.
Yeah, I think William C. Dietz is said to actually still have a copy of it. but he won't release it based
So
on being worried about copyright things.
Right. And I can't blame him. I mean,
no,
I don't know.
Sure, Joe Bongiorno is doing well with Supernatural Encounters, but at the same time,
and Joe got explicit permission to go.
Right,
You
that's
work
the
on
other
it
thing.
yourself.
He did get explicit permission. Meanwhile, Heart of the Jedi was up for like a month and it got shut down because I mean, and I appreciate what they were trying to do, but at the same time, it's like they're violating IPs and whatnot.
Part of it, like you say, Star Wars is on the cover of Heart of the Jedi, and that you'd almost consider that because Supernatural Encounters is allowed to be so prevalent and not be taken down, have so many editions that he's actually selling the newer editions now rather than having to take donations and then you get a copy of the book based on you gave a donation, that maybe it's too far removed that way too, that Disney, Lucasfilm can't really have a hold on it to be able to say this is Star Wars. Or they don't worry too much.
I mean, it still is.
It still is. I mean, the character, like most of the characters are not original to this book.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Most of them come straight out of existing Star Wars content.
But I wonder what Lucasfilm thinks of it anyway.
That is, something I'm curious about.
The fact that they haven't smacked him over the head and hit him with a massive lawsuit is probably testimony to the fact that them giving him their permission is still there.
Yeah.
That whatever is happening with Supernatural Encounters on this day, they're obviously still happy with because they haven't said anything. So,
and
which is good because, like I said, it was obviously
they can
because it was obviously still presented in good faith, and I get that, and it seems to be It's the kind of thing we've been talking about this whole time, saying, continuation, we'd want to have a continuation written by somebody who cares about the existing lore, that wants to bind things together and blah, blah, blah. And that's what's happening. Whether it's what you agree with when it's a finished product is besides the point. But that's really what's happening. It's someone who cares. Someone who cares a lot is writing this.
Your approach to his timeline, where it used to be EU only, and then he started doing this one canon thing where he mixed canons together on his timeline. It's like that's the thing between
that is still
different
a separate timeline, isn't it?
I think the individual sections are separate, but then the main overall one is combined. If I remember right.
Yeah.
As best as he could do it, and then he probably hit a roadblock like everyone else trying to mix it together where they just don't work.
They don't work, and that's something I think a lot of people are in denial about, is that they can't work together.
Yeah,
the two just are completely incompatible.
It's actually funny that you could add multiple other franchises to the Star Wars universe easier than discanon to the EU or vice versa. Like, say for instance, to pick one out of my bottom, Game of Thrones. If you imagine that Game of Thrones is taking place on a planet that's in dark space somewhere in the Star Wars universe, there's actually nothing there that's contradictory, because the history of what's happening on the planet it's its own planet. Anything that is magic or whatever, you can just put down to being the Force. And then apart from that, things such as people fighting with swords and flying dragons are hardly unusual. So if you just pick that planet and you said it's somewhere out there in dark space somewhere, and that's where Game of Thrones is happening, and it is canonical to the Star Wars universe, that's easier to swallow than to take the EU and try and squeeze discanon in there, which is absolutely absurd.
That's crazy,
but somehow still the case.
Yeah,
you can actually pick almost any other franchise and make it fit easier than discanon. It's crazy.
That's true.
Yeah. I actually got sidetracked.
We had repeated rumors of Willow being made officially part of Star Wars. We had multiple rumors of that. I mean, granted, a couple of them were just April Fool's jokes, but it came up a few times.
Well, the EU being decanonized was an April Fool's joke.
It was, and they've scrubbed every memory of that from the internet. Have you noticed? I still can't. I'm still asking, and I'm going to officially say here, No, if anyone has a screenshot of that page, I'd love to see it again because it's been scrubbed.
Yeah.
It's been
I think
absolutely scrubbed from the
Wikipedia
internet.
only has the blurry screenshot
Yeah,
referencing the page
really
on a
blurry.
separate page.
Yeah.
You can't read it as that
and
blurry.
Yeah, and the fact that a few years prior, decanonization was seen as an April Fool's joke, and people got upset about it, and people thought it was very funny to suggest because it's never going to happen. I just like that somehow they've scrubbed it and gone, oh, that's awkward. Scrub. Because you can't scrub anything from the internet. It's all there for life. You can't get rid of it, and somehow they got rid of that page.
I was seeing a thing actually that there's a lot of websites that shut down, and Internet Archive hasn't gotten all of them. And to start with, you need to have the link with Internet Archive to actually know where to look.
Right.
And so a lot of like pre-2013 stuff, especially, is becoming lost because the internet's basically got to cut out all the old stuff, and those websites are no longer upkept and everything, and boom, they're gone. So it is interesting to think about because so much of it's like, oh, it's on the internet, it's there to stay forever, is not necessarily the case.
Yeah. Oh, it depends how embarrassing it is. I think there's definitely a bell curve that exists where there is a correlation between how embarrassing something is and how long it stays on the internet. And if it's really, really embarrassing and you don't want it there, it will stay there until your death.
Oh yeah.
But if it's something that you don't really care about, or more importantly, on the other end of the bell curve, if it praises you and makes you look really good, it's somehow mysteriously missing.
I think
But the embarrassing stuff, that stays there for life.
Yeah. I think the video I was looking at was talking about some of the early social medias like MySpace and that as well. I was like, oh, that's lost. A bunch of early Flash game sites, unless they've been ported, some of the Flash games are completely lost. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, poor old internet. The internet I knew was dying and gone.
Don't worry, you can still watch the Star Wars Holiday Special on YouTube.
That is true. It is still on YouTube. It's amazing nobody has taken that down.
And it's quite a good rip too.
It is a good rip.
Yeah, for something that was never officially released and supposed to be dead, they've put out a pretty good quality version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing as well, is that, you know, like, we have very poor quality content that exists. I mean, and that's hard.
Yeah.
To go through that.
That is how it goes a bit.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing as well. When you have something this big and successful, you're going to have stinkers.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the way it goes.
And there's always going to be stinkers in one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like I don't think I'd be quite so critical of the new canon if their stuff just wasn't consistently like poor. Like, every new thing feels like it's worse than the last.
Well, and I know we touched on this before, and we've touched on this several times, but also when there was what I would say largely no need, the things that they've produced are so close, that with a slight tweak, you could have just made it fit the EU anyway. Like there's almost a concerted effort to try and make it not fit the EU. Because it could have fitted so well most of the stuff that I'm aware of. And I think, did you need to just tweak that last 10% to make sure everything's completely broken? Was that necessary? Because you could have just... It could have continued. Episode 7, 8, and 9 could have been part of EU compatible just as much as episodes 1, 2, and 3 were. Were a couple of things broken? Yeah, but, we retconned those and it was fine. We didn't have to say, oh, we're making episode 1, so let's throw out all of the EU that's existed up to this point because we want to make a movie. Yeah. Like, no, they managed to make it gel. It was fine.
No, it's all good. Some little retcons, little explanations here and there. Nothing too bad.
Yeah, like I said, and I know this is broad strokes, and again, I haven't actually seen the sequel trilogy and never will, but I know this is very broad strokes. But the idea that Luke is off on a little planet on his own somewhere on an island is not unusual to the EU. At the end of Crucible, he talks
No.
about the idea of maybe, hey, I'll have a little break on an island for a while. So it actually fits perfectly.
Yeah.
So if you just have the story of Rey, perhaps, why not? Why not? This girl on this planet that seems to have force powers who's like, hey, I'm going to go try and find this legendary Jedi Master and learn his ways. And now there's another conflict because the Empire, some Empire's faction is rising up again, and maybe the guy in charge of it is called Kylo Ren. He's not their son.
He
But the
claims to
amount
be
of
sort of thing, like Trioculus. That could
But
be it.
pick,
Right.
but pick any Dark Jedi. At this point, the Jedi Academy is quite huge. Pick any Dark Jedi, fall to the dark side, call themselves Kylo Ren. Like all of these patterns could have fitted within an EU compatible movie and have been just as entertaining. And I don't know why it didn't happen. I know we've gone way off topic of a fan based continuation now, but for the
Yeah.
most part,
Yeah.
it just seems weird
Well,
that we had to do it.
in some ways, that's a fan fiction thing too. Is like people trying to fit things together and explaining it
Yeah.
if they want to include it, right?
Well,
Yeah.
and like a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people tried to fit Rebels in, and I mean, it fits about as well as TCW, which is
Not much.
not very, and which, if you need to know about that, Jeff and I have 3 very long videos on that, and a 4th one covering how it might have worked.
And once we've established the podcast more, at one point we're gonna pull up all of the research and everything, and have a long discussion about it.
But again, broad strokes, there was nothing in there. Like the things that fly in the face of the EU were unnecessary. You could have actually just done without, told this same story. Now, you would have had to have bent the overall timeline. That just seems to be a problem that they were going to face doing what they were trying to do. But everything else, just don't have it. Don't do it. They're basic. They're little small story points that you didn't necessarily have to have changed from what the EU had going. So again, it's really weird. I mean, probably Ahsoka's Padawan being the biggest one. Like, why is she Padawan to Anakin? Like we've said before, Kiadi Mundi. Now you don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Now you don't have a problem. You can bring that character in. You can have everything about that character. Just don't put her where you put her. Put her there, and it all sails.
The biggest problem with TCW, and we have said this a few times, is that they were focusing on Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
If they had not been focusing on Anakin, because there was no need to.
No.
Like the entire series would have been good. Plo Koon, hardly any story in the Republic comics for the Clone Wars, which is strange because he had a bit of story in the stuff before. Like he had some good story bits, but it was like for some reason they didn't do much with it. And they could have centered the whole thing on him. Ahsoka's his Padawan. They could have done an entire thing just with that, and it would have been beautiful. It would have been a beautiful story. We could have all and we all would have gone home happy.
Yeah.
Granted, it may not have lasted as long and may not have been as successful, but it wouldn't have broken lore.
Yeah, that's it.
So, I don't know. To me, it's. I mean, I get it. They're thinking in business terms, so to a degree, maybe they just wanted more Anakin and Obi-Wan because they knew that's where they could get more viewership.
Yeah, and I think that's something the EU did a bit much too, is they ended up going a lot on, we got to use characters people are familiar with, where some of the best stories are ones they aren't.
Right. And that was the thing as well. Like, I think if they had just kind of treated TCW as its own thing and not tried to bridge it in, I think much of the storyline, I think many storylines would have been less affected.
Yeah.
particularly Darth Maul. And
Again,
they
so
already
they-
had an origin story for
Yeah.
him. They had a comic that gave his that like had Palpatine find him, I think, on Iridonia, and he's a kid. He's not an infant.
Mm.
And so
And
that's
again,
one of the
even
things.
Ventress as well.
Yeah,
Like that was even more bizarre. Why do we need to change her backstory at all? Why? That's
unnecessary.
Yeah.
It didn't add anything.
Mhm.
No. That's just some things that are like, yeah. Tinfoil hat theory time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a whole other episode. But I guess
But
too,
yeah.
what we've just proven is that a fan fiction continuation is going to be nigh impossible to get us all to agree on because we can't even agree on official continuity half the time.
Yeah.
So good luck anyone out there who's writing a fan fiction that they hope the fandom will just embrace wholeheartedly and go, yay! Because you know what?
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, we're a fussy lot. We're a fussy lot.
Well, the best thing to
Yeah.
do is to write in your own sandbox and just
Yeah.
do your own thing unconnected to other characters. That'd be the way you get people to accept it the most. It's like, well, it doesn't
Yeah.
touch anything else. It's fine.
Right.
Well, I guess there's only two ways to continue it, either officially or unofficially.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're going to do it unofficial, like we said, you could do it handwritten, but with an official overseer, and that's kind of they're your only options, really.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and we even touched on
Yeah.
the idea of stuff that was written canonical at the time, but not published, being dredged up because.
Yeah.
Touched on some of the obvious ones. But there'll be more. There'll be more short stories out there, particularly things that
there are
weren't going to be committed
plenty.
to hyperspace or whatever. Yeah, that Lucasfilm absolutely said yes to. They said, yeah, that one, that we're rolling with that. That's canonical, and then it just never got published, which I'm not going to judge a work on. If that's all
Yeah.
that happened, it wasn't published. Like pick any work you like. If it was Dark Empire, at random. If that never got published, never ever got published, but Lucasfilm have said yes to it, they've ticked it off, it's all been paid for, and then it got released later, I'd still accept it fully because I'm like, well, it was supposed to be published. It just never got its platform. But it was official, so I'd accept it.
Yeah.
Escape from Dagu? Anyone? Anyone got Escape from Dagu? Where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it?
If I even get a copy of it but are told not to share it, I'm like, okay, cool, no worries. I'll do that.
Oh, definitely. Have you got your fingers crossed behind your back there? What's going on?
No.
I'll never share it.
Never.
No, look, hopefully that comes out one day. But...
Yeah, someday.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the things that are written and unpublished and not accessible, I'm hoping that someday that stuff gets released. So that people can read and enjoy these stories. Like that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Like we enjoy these types of stories and we would like to actually read them, and that's kind of the point of writing. And that's kind of the drawback to writing inside of a sandbox of an IP is that you are limited to what you are given permission for.
Yeah. It's the safest way
Although
for
the
us
further
fan
away
fiction to go, well, we're not touching characters that people go, oh no, I don't agree with what you did with that and whatnot.
Yeah. But again, it's the further away you move as well. Like, if you're trying to touch beloved characters and storylines and stuff, you're probably going to run into that kind of thing. But to be absurd for a moment, if you're going to write a short story about someone that lives... Because the galaxy's got millions of planets. You just pick a planet that hasn't been touched at all. It's probably got one pip on a map somewhere, and that's all it's got. And you just write a story about a guy who runs a restaurant on that particular planet, and one day, the droids go bonkers or whatever he's got. Like, if it's so far removed from everything that's told before, you've got no argument with it. Because they're new characters, it's a new situation on a new planet. It's still within the Star Wars realm, but it's so far removed that you can't really argue with it. It's not like you've taken Luke Skywalker and wrote a story. You've picked a totally different fictional setting. So again, with fanfic, I'd probably just remove myself from writing about main characters.
Yeah,
right. Well. No, I'll write a story about the Skywalkers of Skywalker Ranch.
There you go. That'll be
the non force sensitive Skywalkers.
You got that one.
I don't think they're walking on the wings of planes.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Wing walkers.
Yeah.
Boy.
Well, that's the other thing as well. Kenobi and Skywalker are supposed to be relatively common names.
Yeah, some things are like, right, come on.
It's like they're supposed to be relatively common names throughout the galaxy, but you only ever see Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin's relatives. That's it. That's all you see.
But again, it's one of those things where you probably have no choice. So I know in the Kenobi novel, when he mentions his last name is Kenobi, and they say, "Oh, the Kenobi's over there." Like they touch on it in that novel. They touch on that there are actually a couple of other Kenobis around the local area. So it obviously is a name that's relatively common. But you also couldn't introduce that anywhere else in the series without fans just losing their minds consistently. So if you had like an Imperial officer whose name was Bob Kenobi, and you're trying to pretend that somehow Bob Kenobi is not related to Obi-Wan Kenobi, you'd have no hope. The fan speculation for the rest of their lives would be, what if he's actually Obi-Wan's cousin? Or, they'd lose their minds.
I did that with Antilles.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they did it in the first movie.
Yeah.
The first movie. Like, they're not...
just...
Like, and when people ask, they're like, oh, no, they're not related at all. And you're like,
it's
what?
It's a common name. It's a common name. Yeah.
It's a common name. One is literally related to the royal family of Alderaan, and the other just happens to be a relatively common name among Corellians.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
Like,
I mean, it's going to happen, though.
There's no difference in spelling. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, that's going to happen. Like, I mean, I reckon I wouldn't have to go too far to find somebody with the surname Windsor, but they're not related to the British royal family. It's like, it'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll definitely happen. But no, it's the same as Skywalker. There is no way in hell you could put a character anywhere else in anywhere at any time of that timeline and not have fan speculation go through the roof. You couldn't do it. Even in the Old Republic, if you try to bring in a Skywalker in the Old Republic, oh no, that's Luke's great
There's already the speculation of like, because we follow Revan, is he the ancestor to the Skywalkers type thing?
A lot of people actually have a fan theory that the Shans are ancestors of the Skywalkers somewhere down the line.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't know if they did if they did become at some point. We don't know.
No.
Yeah. That's basically it. We don't know.
Yeah. But if you somehow had a Skywalker back there, the fan speculation would never stop. So despite them telling us that they're common names, they could not use those common names ever again.
No.
They couldn't use them. They couldn't do it. Would have been impossible.
No.
Fun time.
For years.
We need a story just using everyone's a Skywalker and a Kenobi, but they're not related to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Joe
Kenobi,
Bob Skywalker. Hey, Jimbo Skywazzer.
That's the story of some bloke that works in like logistics somewhere. His last name's Skywalker. He's just sick of all his work colleagues just giving him a bit because his last name's Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like,
related to Luke.
Like just some pencil pusher in the New Republic.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the counting and stuff in the Black Fleet Crisis going, hang on, I'm counting all these ships, but hang on, these are missing.
Yep.
It's like, well, your own cousin. I am not related to Luke. I have told you this.
Oh, you're force sensitive. Have you met Luke Skywalker? Yeah, it's bad enough with that in universe.
It's like, I'm not related, neither is Jill Skywalker in accounts. We keep telling you this. Not related.
We're not even related to each other. Neither of us is related to him. Just... It's like, but don't you have family on Tatooine? No, I don't.
Or Galaxy.
This is the kind of
Anyway.
stuff that's just like, it would be funny.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I guess that's probably, in summary, though, we do hope it gets continued, but if it does, with some manner of quality and oversight, would be
oh
the
yeah.
hope.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the main thing of like we want a continuation, and but there were the billboards that came up and that tried to reach Lucasfilm. I think that time has passed,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I mean, I probably have
Yeah.
to again praise any efforts that try and get it continued, but again, there's kind of that time to strike, and the iron has well and truly gone cold because, like,
Yeah.
at the time, the EU fandom was quite large, the groups were quite big,
Yeah.
and they weren't getting any traction then. And as time has gone on, look, we're getting older. The EU fans have moved on with their lives, and they've got mortgages and kids now.
Yeah,
They can't be
and
bothered
there's things that are far
raising
more
money for a
important
billboard.
that keeping going on about some
It's been
entertainment
12
medium.
years.
Yeah. And then in the meantime, it's been
12 years,
asphalted over
man.
so much with all this Cannon stuff
Yeah.
that, it'd be really hard to reverse it. Quite easy to reverse at the time. When they said, we're getting rid of the EU, that was the time to say, no, you're not. And you could have reversed that. But pretty much the second they started working on the new movie was the time, okay, we've lost, because they're now putting money towards making sure the EU stays buried. So it's...
Or even when George signed it off, probably because it ended up being a vision that wasn't aligned with George Lucas as soon as he let go of it. Because obviously, individuals have their own visions, and that's good. That's the whole point of being individuals and having different people run things.
Right.
The vision is just not for us, clearly.
Yeah.
No. Well, like, I mean, he got annoyed. Like you said, he gave them story treatments that they didn't use. He told them to use them in the books and comics, and they clearly didn't. Or at the very least, they use them like you'd use a donor body and just chop up
On
bits
the
and pieces that
bloomin'
you want.
discussion about things not turning out like the end product, right thing, like the story treatments, and traditionally in the process for the editing process and stuff, even the apparently people complain of, "Oh, the story treatment sounded crap," or whatever. It's like, we're hearing it secondhand, first of all. But then second of all, they can be completely different from where there's a treatment to the final product. So
Yeah, but story treatments are always going to sound like crap.
Yeah.
The very first movie, if somebody ran that, if Star Wars had never been made and someone ran that past you and said, okay, it's going to be this farm boy, his family get killed, so he joins up with some intergalactic truck driver and his oversized dog, and they fly through the galaxy with some old wizard, and they find a big moon made entirely out of metal, and they fight his dad, but they don't know it's his dad. And then the wizard turns into a cloud of dust and a cloak, and then and he gets given a weapon, a lightsaber, which we never see used ever again. And then they go to a planet, and this farm boy somehow blows up the big metal thing. The end. It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No part of this sounds lucid. And so when they say, "Oh, George's 7, 8, and 9 treatment sounded bonkers," well, they probably did.
Yeah, that's how.
But they all sound bonkers until the movies come out. It all sounds bonkers.
Yeah.
Like,
treatments are they're just an idea. That's the point of the treatments. They're not meant to actually encapsulate the entirety of what's actually happening.
Yeah.
They're supposed to give you a basic idea.
Yeah, basic
and,
idea and concept of that.
Maybe a little bit more than a basic idea, but that's about all you're gonna get out of them.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if they'd used just a little bit from what George had. And it feels like
they used a little bit. Like apparently, Luke was also exiled.
Yeah.
Which
again is also the only part that
I believe could have been from George.
Yeah.
I could believe that.
Oh yeah.
And it's also the only part that again lines up with the EU.
Yeah.
Luke was talking about wandering off on his own for a bit. So
at
least we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that,
I mean, that's where Crucible ends, basically. So Luke is like, I'm gonna go away for a bit and probably hang out on an island somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, that works.
Not the first.
Which is why at the time No. But yeah, here we are. Eh?
Yep.
Here we are.
No continuation in sight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at this point, we've either made our peace with it or moved on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I know
Well, the good news
definitely
is I've got
new
so many
fans
other.
out there that just carry on with their life and don't really reread
Yeah.
EU. They just continue on with their life.
Yep.
And well, I'll just reread the EU. That's fine too.
Yeah.
Right. I've got plenty of stories I haven't read.
Mm-hmm.
And
Working on it.
yep.
Well, I got plenty of stories I've forgotten. I'll tell you that.
That too.
You know.
Another 30 years of stuff, so there's no need to. In some ways, there's not even a need for a continuation.
Right.
'Cause-
To a
Well,
degree.
particularly for any of us who are adults now, because arguably when I was a school kid, it was really easy for me to knock over a novel in a day or two or whatever, and a comic in an afternoon. But I'm at the point where my life gets so busy now that what was 30 years of media the first time around is probably 60. It'll do me the rest of my life. Because I'm not reading at the same pace that I was.
No
and we're
kidding.
not just reading Star Wars either. If you are reading, you're usually reading other things too.
No.
Right.
No, if anything, I actually read more Discworld than anything else, and then I'll go back to a Star Wars novel, then something different, and then just rinse and recycle. So, yeah, so I'm reading more things in between. I'm reading at a slower pace. Yeah, I've got more than enough EU to do my whole life. It's all right. All good. I wouldn't mind having some holes plugged up and some things answered, but there's plenty there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's true.
Cool.
Yeah, we might have wanted more, but no one's going to argue we didn't get quite a lot.
Yeah, that's it.
Got a lot.
There is a lot. There is quite a bit.
Huge thanks for hanging out in the brightest center of the galaxy. If you want to know more, make sure to follow on the platform of your preference. I'm your host Callum, and this has been the Callum's Cantina podcast. And remember, the films are just the beginning. The expanded universe is where the galaxy truly grows into its own. So see you next time when you visit the Cantina.